Hey everyone, this is SamMcKdamn here again, and this time we're going to be reacting to part two of this guy's video. Well, kind of part two. It's we talked about his opinions on female characters for men. So now he's going to do male characters tips for females.
Yeah. And this one I'm actually doing blind.
Don't worry, I am too. I'm so excited to know how to write a male character better if I was a woman.
Yeah.
This video is about how not to completely botch it up when you're writing a male
Let's
character.
hope L.
And
James
yes,
is watching
this is aimed at female authors, but I also think guys could probably benefit from it too. Now,
Hold on. There we go. Sorry, something was bothering me on the screen.
my last video was about how not to write women.
Yeah, it's bothering me too.
So if you missed that, check it out and make sure not to miss the comments section, which things got a little heated there. But
Well, I didn't even read the comment section, so I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. I posted that quote from the movie As Good as It Gets.
Oh yeah, I write a man, but I take away
Reason and accountability.
for now, we're going to concentrate on 9 mistakes authors make when writing men, and we're going to start with number 1, physical fantasies. The first mistake I say semi-frequently is wishful smells. Unless your male character is a lumberjack, they are not going to smell like wood. And especially
Well, some of them smell like wood, but not the type of wood you're thinking of.
The morning kind.
if you have a teenage character in a YA book, they do not smell of cedar and leather. I'm just going to
I don't know. Maybe it's because they're wearing a leather jacket, or they brought or wearing a type of cologne that makes them smell like that.
Maybe he works in a tannery and he smells like piss.
Yeah.
be honest. They smell like socks in locker rooms. A second really annoying fantasy is random physicality.
Yeah, I used to. When a few years ago, I used to apply. There was a place I used to work on that, and the way from like the when commuting, I was always passed by a school.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I passed, like when I was in my way out from work to home, and I passed by the school, and like all the teenagers were waiting to enter, I just like you could feel from like some 10 yards away the whiff of like
when
of
the
a
smell
bad
is so bad, you can feel it hit you before the smell gets you.
yeah, the whiff of like bad cologne and cream.
Yeah, it isn't so much locker rooms and dirty socks, so like he described. In high school, for me anyway, it was Axe body spray and a fuck ton of it.
Yeah, it was Axe it is Axe body spray for the guys, and for the girls is like the copious amounts of cream they use in their hair. It's like, woman, you don't need that much.
Here is an example of something you should never write. His shoulders flexed powerfully as he opened the door.
What if he's the Hulk, though?
That smells very much like something that is from smut novel. Okay, the women who are writing this know what they're doing.
Yeah, like
it's like those books that would come like with a picture of Fabio.
Yeah,
Fabio in a pirate in a pirate ship holding a blonde woman as she's almost being taken by the wind, and the only thing keeping her are his strong manly arms.
Yeah. Anyway, let's see where this knife thing is going to go.
It's a door. It does not require any flexing to open. There's just no need to make up random physical events for your male characters to flex their muscles. And lastly, number 3.
Maybe the door is stuck, you know? The hinges might be very rusted.
Maybe
you need some powerful muscles.
Or maybe they're just the main character from Grand Theft Auto 3 and the way he opens doors.
Yeah. I saw like a video of like Chinese guy opening a glass door, ironically with a song from Kino in the background. Kino, I don't know if you are aware, is a Russian band. They wrote that song Kukushka, very good song. Main singer died in a car crash.
Oh.
Yeah, they were a very popular band in like the 80s and early 90s. A very popular Russian band. And like it was like this song, a song from Kino playing. This Chinese guy just comes in, like slaps the door hits the frames and just shatters.
Ripped with zero effort. Unless your male character is getting 3 hours in the gym and they have a personal trainer and a nutritionist, they're just not gonna have a body like Thor. You want to treat male characters.
To be fair, even if they're doing that, they're probably not gonna have a body like Thor.
Well,
yeah, because
Chris Hemsworth goes through like a very like rigorous exercise regimen to the point where he doesn't drink water, so that way the muscles can like tighten a little bit more, so they look better for the camera.
He goes to a torturous exercise regimen so that he can be as chiseled as possible for movies where you can't have women with big tits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't have women with big tits showing such big tits in camera because that would be sexist.
Character bodies in a respectful and authentic way, similar to the way that you wish other authors might treat female bodies. The second mistake when
No, that's just called double standard. We see it all the time.
To be fair, like if a guy spends 3 hours in the gym every day doing like heavy lifting, he's more likely to look like Eddie Hall than like Thor, you know?
I don't know who that is, but
Eddie Hall he's a power lifter. He used to go for strongman competitions, and the strongman physique is worlds apart.
Yeah, it's more like a brick shit house rather than like chiseled.
It's an impressive amount of strength those guys have, but also they have to put themselves to a torturous train regiment. It is an incredible amount of pain they actually have to withstand every day, like with training to go to reach such heights of physique.
Writing men is giving them a genius level emotional IQ. So listen, not
yeah, the tough reality most women refuse to understand is that most men are kind of autistic in understanding like
emotions.
In dealing with the way women deal with emotions. Like there is that main joke, like how a woman gives hints, you know.
Oh yeah, she looks at him from across the room and says, "Well, his loss."
Yeah, like I made it as obvious as I could. What? Yeah, like I was within 2 meters of him, breathing the same air. He should have noticed by now.
Like a personal anecdote for me was like I was working at a cash register at a grocery store. I left the register for a sec to go do something else, and when I got back, I noticed that a female cash register employee started walking away from my register, and I looked at what she left, and it was her number. And so I texted her and said, "Hey, what's up?" And it's like, "Oh, not much. What about you?" And I was like, "Cool. So why'd you give me your number?" Like, I was that dense when it came to like the fucking signals as to what she was trying to say.
Yeah, women. If any women happens to watch this, okay. If you ever need advice on how to ask to approach a man, ask a gay guy, okay? Ask some gays how to approach men. Don't ever ask other women.
Well, we could just answer it right now. Just go up to the guy that you fancy and say, "Hey, you want to go out on a date?" I can guarantee you it's gonna fucking work unless you're a hag.
Yeah.
Every good man out there has a super high emotional IQ. Guys say stuff that tends to be misinterpreted. Guys often miss opportunities to speak, like say the wife is in front of the mirror preening and you are concentrating on something else and you miss the perfect opportunity to say like, oh, you look so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because he's busy doing something else.
Yeah. Maybe he's distracted. Maybe he think, she's looking in her mirror quite a lot. She has a pimple.
That's
Maybe she's just putting on her makeup. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm busy over here solving cold fusion.
I like how we're reacting more to women's inability to understand men's autism than to what he's saying exactly.
Yeah.
a total hypothetical example. That never happened. If your male character always says the right sensitive things at exactly the right sensitive time, then you are not writing a man. You are writing an idealized projection of a man.
What's this movie? Like, it looks familiar, but I can't think what it is.
It's a Peaky Blinders TV series.
Oh, okay. I just recognize the actor as the Oppenheimer guy who also played Scarecrow in Batman Begins.
Don't you recognize the dreary and lifeless London aesthetic, like 1920s London aesthetic? Does the urge to cut your wrist not make you realize what kind of show this is?
Well, I didn't know. I could tell that it was probably Victorian era or something, but I didn't realize what it was called. So
you're basically writing a mannequin for female readers to get off on. Yeah. I know there is an emotional.
Well, yeah, basically
This guy has
all these points so far has basically been like, yeah, don't write those romance novels, and I will agree because that is about as bottom of the dumpster as you can get in terms of writing. But that's about it.
But let's be honest, like, okay, this guy is reading too much literature made for women. So yeah, but this is very much like, yeah, this is exactly what women who write romance novels and often smut novels do. So like, they're not gonna stop, man. They're doing this for a reason. You know, this is what their audience wants.
Well, that, and also there's a reason why the romance genre is like the highest selling books series genre ever, and repeatedly.
And there's a lot of guys who are extremely emotionally tuned. But I think that women have the tendency to write men as all having this emotional IQ equivalent to like Einstein's actual IQ. Now, I think the opposite is also true. Female authors will sometimes write the villainous main character, like, you know, the husband that leaves her or something, as having the emotional IQ of a rock. This third mistake is probably the most controversial one in this whole video.
Well, I was going to say, like, between the extremely high IQ of the man she likes versus the one that she doesn't like, yeah, that's about as black and white as you writing gets. Like, that happens all the fucking time, and I'll admit it's fucking annoying, but you know, the numbers don't lie. Let's just put it that way.
And the spell disaster for this video.
It is number 3.
Or the message in this video.
Sexual fidelity as key morality. I know the comment section is going to sizzle with debate and disagreement on this one, but just hear me out. It is a problem when every single male hero ends up being laser focused on their female partner, as if no other women exist in the world. And sometimes it doesn't seem like they even have a personality trait other than obsession. So my advice would just be not to have every single heroic male character be written as naturally, crazily, unifocally monogamous. Now, it's fine to have them act monogamous. It's perfectly fine to have a heroic male character who is attracted to other women, but who remains true to their spouse or partner. Now, the flip side holds true as well.
But I've been told that if you have a wife and you look at another woman, that's evil, and she deserves to leave you.
Okay, but what he's mentioning, like, is a propensity for women to basically, you see, like a, it's kind of like probably bad example, but like the first example that comes to mind is Twilight. where you have these two men who are obsessed with this woman, and like that seems to be very much like the point here. Women who write, they base the level of like the value of the male character based on how obsessed he is with this particular woman, which is like a because I guess in the story, if he eventually gets tired and moves on to a woman who is actually willing to accept him, that's not the guy that's gonna make her readers happy. You know?
Yeah. Although to be fair, the werewolf in Twilight moved on. He moved on to a baby.
That is. Was that?
Well,
Is that, what is that the case? Like perhaps she meant something else, but it was just like unfortunate subtext.
well, it was the way that she wrote it. Like, it was like, oh yeah, when a werewolf imprints, so they become like soulmates or whatever, and he immediately imprints onto a fucking baby. So it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to take from that?
Just no.
Well, don't have every single villainous main character be evil because they are a cheater. Sometimes they are evil for completely different reasons. Just like some men write women as though their main value is in terms of their physical beauty, sometimes women write men as though their main value is in terms of sexual fidelity.
Welcome to
Some
the
women in
modern
real
age.
life, some women in real life behave as if their main value is beauty, physical beauty. So,
And there's also a lot of women out there that won't even look at a man unless he fulfills all 4 sixes, which is to say,
there's a funny thing.
6 feet, 6 pack, 6 figures, and 6 inches.
Wait, I just found like I know that like there's a lot of people make jokes about the fact that Pierce Brosnan is married, like his wife has gained a lot of weight throughout the years, and he's stuck with her, and people have joked that he has like a feeder fetish or something. But it just comes to the point. Like he talks about his wife. He talks like I love her so much. Like she's the best thing in my life, and like. And I'm thinking, maybe she just offers him something else that's not just physical. Maybe she has something other women could learn from.
The fourth mistake some authors make when writing male characters is making them only a romance option. So ask yourself, do you have a male character in your book who exists for a purpose other than romance? Do they have a role to play in the plot other than just coupling with the female lead?
I like how in his example of this that he showed the recent Mad Max movie, kind of implying that Mad Max is not the star of Mad Max.
Well, he kind of isn't in Fury Road.
Yeah, I know. I've heard of the criticisms of that movie, but
yeah.
Yeah. No, I just found it funny that that's the example that he used.
Really, this is analogous to the sexy leg lamp test that I mentioned in my video about how to write female characters.
Hey, why is the dislike a button not showing? It showed on mine.
Because he's a good boy and he does what YouTube wants.
Well, let's call the male version the sexy Greek statue test. If your male can be replaced by a sexy Greek statue throughout the whole story, then they're not a real character.
That'd be a lot harder to move around than the leg lamp.
Yeah. Maybe that was an analogy about how easily led women are. I like how
those Greek statues have tiny penises, so I'm not sure if that would be something that a woman would want.
Apparently, there was a thing in Greece. Maybe that's propaganda. I don't know. But the Greeks, there is a rumor that the Greeks considered big penises to be barbaric. Or maybe it was just harder to chisel. I think it's getting too big. I'm gonna cut it in half.
Or maybe they said that, oh yeah, guys with big penises, they're barbarians. They're not civilized people like us folks.
Yeah.
In much the same way that dudes with tiny dicks buy like big monster trucks and drive them around town.
Now, for an example of this, I find this to be often the case in Hallmark-style movies. The main male lead just exists to fulfill the relationship fantasy of the female main lead. So you avoid this
I
just by having...
mean, who watches those movies?
Wino moms and women.
Yeah.
I think I remember a long time ago, there was one that was done by like a Christian company. There's something like a similar idea where like the guy becomes in love with like the woman, but the woman's trying to get the guy to fall in love with her because the guy said that like he was a plumber or something like that. So he said that if I'm going to be in your house and fix your plumbing, I need you to be outside because I don't trust myself alone with a woman.
What?
I am dead serious. And the woman was like, "Oh man, he is the one."
Oh my god, he might be a rapist. I'm so excited.
Having the male character play some sort of role in the narrative. This next mistake that is sometimes made with male characters is number 5, deeply improbable contradictions. So what I see with these characters is a hyper-masculine character in one area, but then all the rest of them is feminine and soft and exactly what a woman would want. For instance, he is a motorcycle mechanic who just happens to be the best listener of all time. Or he is a ruthless billionaire CEO who is also the best father and the best chef and the best lover. So
yeah, again, these are like romance like gutter trash novels. Like this is
Yeah, well, I think the billionaire in the example was I think one of the examples was from one of the images at least was from 50 Shades of Grey. The image about the motorcycle though was from a Ryan Gosling movie called The Place Beyond the Pines. And here's the thing. There is some additional details about his character in that movie.
That everybody all the male viewers who watch it say, "Oh my god, Ryan Gosling, he's totally me in this movie."
I remember like this meme of like a woman saying, "You changed, really. Like, you changed since the last time." Of course I changed. A new Ryan Gosling movie came out. But yeah, like in the movie, he finds out that this woman he had a fling in like past year had a son, and had his son, and so he decides to stick around. Like he leaves his job, and he decides to stick around because he wants to be with his son. The problem is the woman is already with another guy. So what he do? Like, and then he finds like a mechanic guy, and then he talks like, "You want money? We could rob a bank," you know.
Oh,
and then
okay.
like,
I think I know what movie this is now. I haven't seen it, but I've heard someone else talk about it.
yeah, and yeah, so it's very much a case like, yeah. I don't know if it's so much the case that his character. I mean, I guess he just used the examples, the scene as an example. But his character in the movie is not so much the best listener as it's probably not the best at expressing himself. He's a guy that has like he doesn't exactly have a way with words in the movie.
Okay.
So these aren't characters, these really are just projections of female fantasies. Now, if you're writing romance, you probably want to commit some of the mistakes I'm mentioning in this video because you're not trying to deliver a real human being.
I think he's very close to understanding.
To the reader, you're trying to deliver a fantasy. But if you're writing in any other genre, it's usually best to try to find a way to portray your male characters as being actually human rather than sort of cardboard cutouts of a fantasy. Now, this next point is actually the opposite of that last point. It is number 6, the stereotype. Now, number 5 is about wild contradictions smashed into each other, but sometimes authors have the opposite problem and they create this stereotype of man where everything is like hyper masculine. And if you're worried that this is the sort of error that you fall into, I would recommend taking the John Wayne test.
The John Wayne test. So, is he a cowboy?
At least this time he went for something that is less than that is less than 2 decades old. You know?
The John Wayne test. Is he Genghis Khan?
Yeah, he didn't go for something that is less than 20 years old. His John Wayne. Yeah, but here's the thing. Apparently, like John Wayne was the guy who actually didn't mind being typecast. He actually made a point of playing characters whose whose mindset he felt similar to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that relates to Genghis Khan, but
hey man, sometimes you wake up in the morning, you just want to dump boiling silver into somebody's mouth and eyes.
you're just gonna dance over someone's body.
Wayne test simply asks, is there at least one trait about your male character that is not stereotypically masculine?
Oh, that was from No Country for Old Men.
I gotta watch that movie, man.
Yeah, it is good, but I'm trying to think about like, is he, like, again, I'm trying to understand why he showed that clip. Did he show it in the sense that he wasn't that much of a man? He spends basically the entire movie running away from the villain. So maybe that's why?
Understandable, really?
Yeah, because the guy has a silent shotgun, is a fucking complete sociopath.
Oh, let me guess. The silent shotgun is like it does the movie thing where it's just.
Yes, it's a shotgun.
I hate. First of all, it's not a silencer. That's not the name. It's a suppressor. It doesn't make the gun silent. It just makes so that the gun doesn't blow your ears off.
Yeah, I would say that's probably like the only thing about
eardrums.
Yeah, it's the only thing I would say that about the that movie that is pretty as shit, but otherwise, like, everything else about it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps something that just rounds them out and makes them feel like a real human being. For instance, if your male character is defined entirely by devotion to their work and their sports team and their convertible, then you probably want to find a way to round them out a little bit and give them some dimension. I think
a 6-pack a day will do that.
He smokes a pack. Like he gets home, he leans against the wall, he lights up a cigarette, and then he looks at his wife, blows the smoke, and says, "Je t'aime."
A good example of this might be PETA in the Hunger Games. If you remember, he's a
PETA.
Oh, a fucking. But he's a love interest. Well, kind of a love interest, but he's a very weird one because he's a baker and he's an expert camouflagist because because he bakes a lot of cakes. Like,
yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
So
yeah,
like,
that's just young adult novel nonsense.
Yeah, but like keep in mind, we're talking about like, oh yeah, like we're not talking like he just slapped on some like green and black face paint or whatever and just hid in a bush. Like, no, the guy literally painted himself to look like tree bark and rock and like hid out in like plain sight.
Yeah, I've seen that scene. It's so funny. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And doesn't he do like super fast in the movie?
Well, he did it fast enough that despite getting stabbed in the gut, he still managed to do it, lay still, and somehow have his face exposed. And not everyone who walked by realized, oh, hey, that rock has a fucking human face.
Why it's looking at me? Stop judging me, Rock!
Baker. That's not, stereotypically masculine, I feel like.
Okay, so you feel like that's not masculine? Like, that's quite the assumption, because a lot of great chefs and bakers are men. Like, that's...
Yeah, I mean, that just nonsense. Like, okay, I go to the bakeries often. I look at the counter. Who is attending me? A woman. Who is in the back doing the bread? A man.
Yeah, like, I remember a story that my grandfather or my opa would always tell me was about his father who owned and ran a bakery. So it's like, it's not a female job. It's anyone can do it.
You should just make like a fake name for your grandpa or your great grandpa, and it's like the most stereotypically rasp sounding German name possible.
George.
The seventh common error is male friendships. When female writers try to write about male friendships, usually like guys just hanging out with each other in a group, they often end up projecting female relationship values onto those group of guys. So I find that those...
Yeah, so for those wondering what a male friendship is like, basically it's just calling each other faggots and putting each other down all the time. And
wow, you just got the video banned.
Yeah,
you just got the
That's fine.
Yeah, but like, yeah, male friendship is insulting each other constantly, and sometimes slapping each other too.
Yeah.
And then you look at you go to the meetings of my family. It's just a bunch of noisy assholes slapping each other in the ass all the time.
Oh, and drugs. Drugs are sometimes involved as well.
That's not in my family, okay? Thank you very much.
Well, alcohol counts as a drug.
Okay, I will give you a pass on that.
Relationships end up looking a little bit more nurturing, a little bit more supportive, and a little bit more confidential than I'm used to when it's real guys hanging out. For instance, a female friend of mine gave a book to one of my male friends to read, and he asked her, why are your male characters always complimenting each other? Because that felt a little weird to him. Like, that's not normally how guys relate all the time. There's a lot more competition and one-upsmanship. There's a lot more ribbing. There's a lot more physicality, like guys hitting each other, and there's a lot more sometimes off-color humor. Now, obviously, these are really broad stereotypes, but I think it's helpful to remember when you're trying to write how a group of guys would hang out. And here...
Okay, so here's the takeaway. Remember the stereotypes, and then don't do them, but do them. And make sure you get right in the middle, but don't be too boring. You got all that, everybody?
Here's an eighth mistake you can fall prey to when trying to write men: mono emotions. So what is it with so many male characters being brooding? Like, they just brood, and you're like, is there any other aspect of your personality that we should know about, or is it just the brooding? Another really common mono emotion that I see in male characters is sometimes they'll just always be angry. They're just constantly filled with...
Oh, that was from Rebel Moon, this scene, right?
I think that's still from Peaky Blinders.
It is?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, yeah, because I think in Rebel Moon it was the guy who played Francis in Deadpool, who was the main villain, who was astonishingly stupid and evil and angry all the time.
With rage. And often the way that this rage gets manifested is that every single bad character ends up being a domestic abuser. And after a while, I'm like, are there any male characters in novels who are bad and do not domestically abuse their partners? Now, hear me out here. I'm not saying don't write domestic abuse male characters. Like, no, obviously those exist. Obviously those need to be represented in fiction. I'm saying if every single male character in your...
To be fair, the guy from Titanic had a pretty good reason to be upset with his fiance
Yeah,
for shagging some random hobo.
some random. Yeah, she like his reason for being upset is pretty reasonable. Also, Rose is the worst character in that movie. The Horde did not have to jump back into the ship.
Um, I thought you were gonna go with she didn't have to huck the fucking $1 trillion diamond into the ocean.
That too, like, oh my god, you horrible cunt. These guys like are busting their asses to find this diamond. You could say, hey, I have it. I still have it. I could just sell it to you, you know? No! I'm gonna deny my children the inheritance and I'm just gonna toss this thing into the ocean. You vapid whore!
Hey man,
You disgusting woman!
hey man, car sex on a boat hits different, all right?
Your book is always filled with anger or rage.
Yeah, I guess I'm just too vanilla.
That's kind of a stereotypical problem, and you want to examine that. All right, and now we are down to our very last point, number 9, men in general. Now, so far everything we've talked about in this video has been
Don't you just hate them?
Yeah,
Like men in general. Ah,
yeah,
can't stand those bastards.
throw them all into the meat grinder.
the male leads, the male protagonists, or one of the main characters. So this point is about minor characters, minor male characters. Remember that the way you write the opposite sex is often not revealed by the way you treat the major characters, because you spend so much time on them and you're extra careful, you don't make those common mistakes. But with minor characters, you sort of get a little sloppy because they're just a minor character, like it doesn't matter that much. The most common mistake that male writers make is sort of erasing female characters from the background and just not having very many minor female characters. The typical mistake
yeah, it's the same point he made in the first video, which begs the question again. Why should I care about the characters in the background? If they're not doing anything that is important contextually to the story, I don't even care if they're defined as men and women.
Yeah, I mean, when I go and get my coffee, I don't really give a shit about the guy's behind me's backstory. I just want my coffee and to leave.
Yeah,
And to be
tell
fair,
it to the
I don't think
barista, I don't care.
And to be fair, I don't think he gives half a shit about my life story either.
Mm-hmm.
Women make, on the other hand, is they make all the male minor characters into evil characters.
I think that says more about the psychology of the writer than...
Okay, can you go back a second? I missed that one.
Okay.
Background and just not having very many minor female characters. The typical mistake that women make, on the other hand, is they make all the male minor characters into evil characters. They are all cheaters, they are all rapists, they are all spousal abusers. So just try this quick test on your...
Yeah,
Damn,
like,
that's a lot of smut this guy is reading.
yeah. Also, I couldn't help but point out that he said rapist, but censored the word. Which begs the question, why the fuck did you even censor it?
Yeah.
book, I call it the scoundrel syndrome. Do you have at least one male character in your book who is not one of the main characters, who is depicted as a decent human being? So a few...
No, none of them exist, ever.
No, I learned how to write from George R. R. Martin. Everyone is an asshole. Even the heroes.
It can't
and the ones who aren't die.
Love interest, right? It can't be part of a love triangle that the female character is trying to choose between. It also can't be a gay best friend. I say that because sometimes the women will write the gay character sort of as fulfilling the role of a female best friend. The gay character is non-threatening toward the female character, and that's why the author feels like it's okay to have that character be morally fine. So that doesn't count either. Anyhow, I hope that helped you when trying to write male characters in your novels. And if you haven't seen my video on how to write women, go watch that now.
That seems to be pretty much the reason why women keep gays around in real life. They were just to have a guy who is non-threatening.
Yeah. Anyway, let's go back and watch his women video. Because now we got all this context from the male video.
Nah, the context we got from the male video is that this guy is reading way too much romance novels for women. And here's the thing, like, the vast majority of this, can you guys just hover over some of the points he made there?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's see. We got physical fantasies. Genius level emotional IQ,
Hmm.
sexual fidelity as key morality, only romantic option, deeply improbability contradictions.
Improbably. Wow. Yeah, it should be improbable. Whoops. What?
Yeah, improbably.
Yeah.
The stereotype, male friendships, mono emotions, and men in general.
Yeah, like the main problem here is like, okay, all of these mistakes, the vast majority of them seems to be specifically related to how women write romance novels. And let's be honest, they're not gonna change. They do that for a reason. They're
Yeah,
doing that for a reason. Like their audience doesn't want men with doesn't want to see the female friendships depicted as they are in real life. They want the female friendships very attuned. The male friendships in the story very attuned to female sensibilities. They want the man opening the door with his powerful muscles. They want the hero, the romantic hero, with their genius emotional IQ. It's very much a thing that is by design. They're not gonna change, mate. Sorry.
yeah. I think I sent you that video of the TikToker book reviewers, and yeah, like basically all they read is like those fantasy smut books, because anything that has more than like 50 words in a paragraph or something like that, like something really minor, it's like, no, I'm not reading this. It's too long.
Uh, I'm glad that one very noble thing the internet did for us is that the internet finally exposed that women are degenerates and they just had better PR.
Yeah. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Have a nice night.
Bye.